Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports developments every single day. Today, we've got a story that could redefine Detroit's 2025 season, a mystery pass rusher, whose rehab is reportedly ahead of schedule and whose return might come much sooner than anyone expected. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this could be the biggest defensive boost the Lions have had in years. It all started with a cautious optimism from Detroit's defensive line coach, who dropped a tantalizing hint at voluntary off-season workouts. He described this player as looking really good in drills, running at full speed and pushing through individual exercises with impressive form. Yet, despite that praise, the team is deliberately managing his workload, mindful of the long road back from a devastating lower leg injury that fractured both the tibia and fibula about 7 months ago. Here's what we know so far. Back in October, late in the stretch drive of last year's playoff push, this star pass rusher went down, with a compound break that typically requires 4 to 6 months of recovery. Doctors initially projected a return in time for the postseason, if the Lions had advanced that far, but with Detroit falling short of the Super Bowl, his timeline quietly shifted into the unknown. Fast forward to mid-May, and we're hearing reports of him sprinting full speed, chasing blockers, and delivering violent club-and-shed moves in position drills. That level of progress has set social media ablaze with speculation. Could he be ready for Week 1? Or perhaps even Week 2? Imagine a scenario where the Lions open the season at home, packed crowd, roar building, and suddenly this defensive force emerges from the sideline. Opposing quarterbacks would have to face not just the usual Lions front but an electrified talent whose mere presence demands double teams. Could this be the key to Detroit finally intimidating NFC North rushing attacks? Is it possible that this player, whose fifth-year option the team picked up late April, becomes an immediate difference-maker, racking up sacks and pressures that shift entire games? Fans and pundits alike are asking if the Lions might ease him back in, perhaps limiting him to situational snaps in early games, third and long packages, red zone stunts, pure pass rush dime looks. That approach would allow him to make an impact without risking re-injury. Some insiders believe that head coach Dan Campbell is already mapping out a rotational plan, moderate snap counts in weeks 1 and 2, followed by a gradual ramp-up through training camp into full workload by mid-season. Could that strategy unleash a second-half surge that mirrors the famous no-name defense days, or even the 2014 Super Bowl run? Now, consider the broader implications. With this player back, the entire Lions defensive scheme could pivot, from conservative two-high safety shells to aggressive single-high blitz packages. Opponents would need to game plan differently, less pass-orient to neutralize the extra edge rusher, more spread formations that might open the run but limit deep threats. That chess match could give Detroit a strategic edge in a division known for physical ground games. Of course, there are risks. Pushing too hard too soon on a healed fracture invites setbacks. The team's medical staff has emphasized careful load management, no back-to-back game simulations until mid-July, daily ultrasound therapy, targeted strength work, and MRI check-ins. Every 3 weeks, the balance between health and hunger for an NFL return is delicate. But if anyone can thread that needle, it's this Detroit organization, and this player's own reputation for resilience suggests he'll do whatever it takes to strap on the pads. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the mystery pass rusher. We've been circling is none other than first-round star Aiden Hutchinson. Yes, the very same Defensive Rookie of the Year runner-up whose 9.5 sacks and relentless motor nearly single-handedly shifted the Lions into playoff contention last year. His fracture in late October put a cloud over Detroit's defensive ambitions, but now that cloud is dissipating faster than anyone imagined. With Hutchinson looking really good at voluntary workouts, catching every coach's eye, and displayed on highlight reels chasing the quarterback with that trademark bend and strength combo, The roar of Ford Field could soon crescendo like never before. Can the Lions dare to dream of a Week 1 Hutchinson sighting? Or will they play it safe and unveil their edge terror in Week 2 to maximize longevity? The decisions ahead will shape Detroit's identity for years to come. Stay tuned, because in just a few days we'll have more updates from camp. Insight into Hutchinson's snap counts, comments from teammates about how his presence on the practice field has lifted the entire defense, and perhaps even a sneak peek at his first padded session. The countdown is on, and every day brings us closer to either the triumphant return of a Lions legend or the disciplined path of long-term recovery. So let us know in the comments below, what do you make of Hutchinson's rapid progress? Will we see him unleash havoc in Week 1, or will Campbell hold him back for a strategic mid-season surge? Share your thoughts, hit that like button if you're as excited as I am, and don't forget to subscribe to Lions News Fan Report for non-stop coverage of Aiden Hutchinson's road back and all your Detroit Lions headlines. If you're as eager as I am to see what's next in this Lions-Saints quarterback saga, hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and ring that bell right now, because we're about to unravel how Detroit could capitalize, and why this deal might just redefine both franchises. Picking up where we left off, let's imagine the aftermath of that blockbuster trade. Hendon Hooker suits up in black and gold, taking the snaps under center for New Orleans, while Detroit pockets a 2026 fifth-round pick and a conditional 2027 swap. Suddenly, the Saints' offense, which has sputtered without Carr, gains a spark plug with mobility, arm strength, and untapped potential. Hooker's dual-threat ability electrifies the red zone package. Bolt option sweeps and RPOs become staples, forcing opposing defenses to respect his legs and passing game. Meanwhile, over in Motor City, Jared Goff remains the unquestioned leader, and the Lions front office turns that new draft asset into a developmental wideout or a key defensive. Back in the next draft, but let's dig deeper. Could this deal also free up playing time for rookie J.J. McCarthy? If Detroit doesn't feel entirely sold on Hooker after a year, they can use that extra draft capital to shore up the offensive line or snag a pass-rushing edge. The flexibility gained might prove more valuable than holding on to a QB who's shown flashes but not sustained star-caliber production. And off-season rosters are malleable. Detroit could still pivot toward free agent signings or another trade if Hooker doesn't meet expectations. On the Saints' side, Hooker's arrival would likely accelerate their rebuild. They'd have an immediate starter capable of keeping them competitive, even if they don't leap into the playoff picture. That stability buys them breathing room to develop Tyler Shough without the pressure of must-win games. A 7-10 record could become 9-8, and suddenly New Orleans is back in play for a wild card spot. The social media narrative would pivot from Saints in chaos to Saints on the rise, energizing a fan base desperate for hope. Yet no trade is without risk. If Hooker flounders, New Orleans eats that fifth-rounder with no return, and Detroit's benching Goff might look like a grave miscalculation. The conditional pick swap mitigates some of that. You only swap in 2027 if Hooker hits starts or the playoffs, but the primary pick is spent regardless. Lions management would need conviction that Hooker's upside outweighs the lost draft. Equity. And what about locker room dynamics? Goff, having mentored Hooker privately, could emerge as a true franchise elder, guiding the next generation. The optics of Detroit releasing Hooker to New Orleans might sting, but Goff's presence offers continuity. The veteran core, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, remains intact, while the supplemental draft pick keeps the pipeline flowing. Meanwhile, Saints' locker room chemistry would need nurturing. Hooker's arrival reshuffles pecking orders, and veteran voices like Alvin Kamara would need to buy in quickly. So here's where I stand. I admire Detroit's vision if they can leverage Hooker for reliable assets. Their roster has matured swiftly, and adding even a mid-round pick could bolster depth at critical spots. Yet I also see the value in cultivating young quarterbacks internally. Hooker's dual-threat profile is rare, and handing him a chance in a pro-ready offense under Goff's mentorship could yield long-term franchise stability. It's a tantalizing dilemma. Maximize current windows or nurture future pillars. Thank you for tuning in to Lions News Fan Report. Remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Until then, keep that lion. Pride roaring, and may every off-season rumor bring us closer to playoff glory.